Welcome back, everybody, to the Success Partner Podcast. I'm your host, Daya Naef. And today I'm so excited to have Amy Terwilliger in the studio. So Amy is a reformed business litigator. So when I met her a couple of years ago, that's what she was doing. And now she is a sex and relationship coach. So I am super excited to look at this transition and really get into what you are passionate, no pun intended, about these days. So take it away, Amy. Tell us more about your work.
Great. So as Daya mentioned, I spent 13 years as a business litigator. And while I loved all of those experiences, there was always some part of me that just felt like it wasn't really what I was passionate about. From pretty much a long time ago, since becoming an adult, I've always been passionate about, sex positivity and relationship issues and interpersonal things. And truly, it also felt like the practice of law, specifically as with a lot of professions, sort of lacks a level of pleasure, right? And joy and happiness. It's sort of like a thankless job. It's very demanding. There's a lot of negativity, especially in litigation. I think other areas of the law might be less so, but in business litigation, it can be kind of negative at times. And so there was something missing. And for me, the connection was something I was doing informally, which is I was always sort of informally coaching my friends and family on relationship issues, sexual issues. I've just always been like a safe space, judgment free, for people to come talk about those things. And so naturally found my way back to this about 3 years ago. It was obviously a long journey to figure out schooling and certification, and also just disentangling myself from the practice of law. But I'm doing it now and I love it. And, I guess probably anticipating your next question, what does a sex and relationship coach do?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I had some questions too about, education. And then, you were talking about like sex and relationship with your friends. Tell me a little bit more about how that bridged the gap and then go into education, because that's blowing my mind.
Sure. Yeah. No. So, talking about it with my friends, people just literally everyone from like casual acquaintances somehow would just kind of be like, oh yeah, I have this thing. It would just come up in conversation, I think more naturally than it does with other people. And then even like people like my mom, like literally, I think I've been giving my mom relationship advice since I was like 20, which is like mind blowing, right? In some ways, but she always really listened and appreciated the things I had to say. And of course, my advice is a lot better now, several decades later, than it was when I was younger. But the point is, people have always, friends, family, and otherwise have kind of just always felt comfortable talking to me about those issues. And I find now clients also feel really comfortable coming to me and opening up to me, even on initial phone calls. People are just like, I'm going to tell you everything about my sexuality that I've never told anyone. And I'm like, great, let's go. I'm happy to hear it. And so education, yeah, there's actually quite a number of programs that certify, not a number, but more than one certified people in this industry in sex coaching. And so I have finished up my requirements for a school called Sex Coach U. That is one of the most one of the most popular and well-known sex coaching schools, because the founder of the school is actually someone who's widely considered to be the founder of the entire industry of sex coaching.
Okay, that is really interesting. So what do typical engagements look like?
Sure, yeah. So first of all, let me just give like a really quick idea about like what sex coaching is, because I think some people, when I told people I was becoming a sex coach, some people are like, what do you do? Like stand over people? And you're like, get back in there, champ. And it's not like basketball coach or football coach. It's definitely more of talking. It's a talking modality, sort of like therapy. The difference between coaching and therapy just mostly being that therapy, you're processing trauma, processing emotions. It's a little bit, you do delve sort of into the past. And we do all of that in coaching, but really our goal is forward looking. So you have or our focus, I'm sorry. And it's very goal based. And so sex coaching actually comes out of life coaching. So it's sort of a similar philosophy about like we all have within us the ability to resolve issues in our life that are, or achieve goals in our lives that we want to achieve. But sometimes you just need someone to help facilitate and get you where you want to go and tap into those resources. And that's what really the coaching is all about. So it's someone could come to you with any sort of goal, related to relationships or sexuality, or they could come with a concern, and you're just trying to get them from point A to point B and hopefully give them the tools that next time something comes up, they know how to solve the issue a little better themselves.
Yeah, awesome. Tell me us a little bit more about the programs that you're putting on, or the workshops that you're leading.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm putting together some presentations, workshops. Depends on different groups want different, obviously like formats. So one presentation that I actually gave last week is about, it's called Midlife Magic. And it's about menopause and the effect of menopause and perimenopause on women's sexuality. Um, and I find that that's one of these topics in 2025 that's still like really not discussed. I talk to a lot of women who are, in their 40s and even 30s, 50s, and they're like, I had no idea. I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't know all these symptoms were part of perimenopause and menopause, what's going on, because no one really talks about it. So helping to get out there and get people a little more educated, not just about symptomatically what's happening and physiologically, but also what you can do to improve your sexuality and pleasure during that time. And when I say pleasure, I'm always meaning sexual and non-sexual. Just I think as a fundamental component of life, we all need more joy and happiness and pleasure in our lives, whatever that looks like. And then I'm also very passionate about a project that I call Pleasure and Power. And that's really about delving into, there's a lot of talk about how burnt out and stressed out and exhausted we all are, especially people in the sandwich generation, when you're taking care of your own children, perhaps, and your parents, and then you also have a demanding career. It's a lot on someone's plate. And unfortunately, pleasure is the thing that sort of gets sidelined. And really, that program is about delving into all the positive effects that an increase in pleasure can have, and how paradoxically it actually, the thing that we feel like we shouldn't prioritize and make time for, is actually the one thing that can help us have better outcomes physically, emotionally, mentally, and truly professionally as well.
I think culturally we really have an avoidance of that, or when I say fun or enjoyable, like have an enjoyable career, have an enjoyable law practice. People look at me like, a what? It's like it's a foreign concept.
Absolutely. And think about how little like rest, right? Like I feel like there's always this unspoken competition to like, especially in law firms, I think for sure, in especially big law firms, like who's going to bill the most, there's some sort of like, there's no like merit badge if you bill the most hour. I mean, I guess financially you can be compensated, but it's when we value more work as opposed to more pleasure, it's not surprising that rest and pleasure are sort of seen as, almost demonized. Like, well, you're not serious enough about your career. And in truth, that's just not accurate, because the pleasure is what's going to lead to less burnout in the end and more sustainable career.
It makes sense, and I see more like wellness and efforts, and the bar puts on wellness events and things like that, but I still feel like not enough is done at the root cause of it, because I'm also still seeing firms raise hourly requirements and billing rates and minimum billing. It's like, no, wait, we're supposed to be, even in the years where you're supposed to be doing business development, they still want to raise billable hour requirements.
Absolutely. And what's so interesting too is I find even sometimes like in professions where they give a lot of lip service to the concept of like work-life balance and things like that, right? And even still though, your compensation is directly tied to not having a work-life balance at the end of the day, right? So you're almost put in like an impossible situation. I think a lot of professionals feel that way.
So who are the people that are on board and reaching out to you? Because we can always try to convert for days, or lifetimes, but who are the people that are ready and jump in.
Sure, yeah. So people who need or can benefit from sex and relationship coaching is everyone. Truly, in my industry, we believe that human beings are sexual beings from cradle to grave. There's no expiration date on sexuality. I think that's always an important point. So, right, any adult from age, children is that's an education piece, but, any adult, really from young adulthood all the way up until death truly can benefit from this sort of work. And, what are the topics we touch? And by the way, I work with both individuals and couples. So I think that's important to know. And for individuals, there's no like gender specificity, you know, female, male, non-binary, anybody on any range of any sexuality spectrum. But what do we work on? It can be so many things. It can be everything from painful sex to anxiety about sex to body confidence issues to postpartum and other life change issues like divorce has a really big impact on people's relationship and sexuality, to people who are looking to maybe couples who are looking to spice things up, couples who are looking to explore the world of ethical non-monogamy, like i.e. polyamory or opening up their marriage, people who are interested in learning more about kink and BDSM. I mean, it's really like, it's a huge area. It's basically anything that touches on sexuality or relationships.
That is really very interesting. And you're right, that covers a large gambit. So some of these like professional organizations that you go and do a talk to, like what are those talks about?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, all these kinds of things, right? Pleasure, like how we can benefit professionally and health wise, mental and emotional health, and physical health from increase of pleasure. Like I said, talking about menopause, and just generally some of these other topics that people might be interested in. I have a workshop that's in development that's going to help couples learn to talk about their fantasies. Um, because that's something that seems to be a stuck point for a lot of couples. It's like they want to spice things up, they want to talk about it, but they're like, I don't know where to start. I'm embarrassed. To give people sort of a shame-free, judgment-free way to work together to talk about those things. It doesn't mean they're going to do all the things, but just talk about it.
Having open conversation and dialogue about it is very interesting. I wonder if there's like a level, there's like a gradient, there of what the things people are saying. Yeah, I kind of want to whatever sex on the beach, and then there's the people who are like, oh no, I have this really elaborate, intricate thing.
Oh, absolutely, such a spectrum. And like, again, some of the times, some people's fantasies, they don't even really want to do it. They just want to tell their partner, this is my fantasy, because it could just be something they don't really want to do, but it's something that they do fantasize about.
Really interesting. So how do people find you to learn more?
Sure. So a couple of different ways. Probably the best way is my Instagram, which is millennial, spelled with the two L's and the two N's, and then Dr. Ruth, but the doctor's just DR. So millennial DR Ruth. That's my Instagram handle. Lots of good content there. Other ways, I have a website. It's confidentconnections.net. That's confidentconnections.net. Those are probably the best ways to find more information.
That's wonderful. And for people who didn't have a time to grab a pen, which nobody does anymore anyway, those will all be in the show notes. So, Amy, I want to thank you again for coming on the show today. This has been a very interesting conversation. This has been another episode of the Success Partner Podcast. I'm your host, Daya Naef. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned.